On February 20th, 2026, the gaming industry fundamentally changed. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer announced his retirement. Soon after, then president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, would also resign. In Phil Spencer's place, a new name would take the throne. Her name is Asher Sharma, whose background was not in gaming, but in AI. After a PR blitz to address early criticism of not having a gaming background, or for having an AI background, and as the dust begins to settle on a massive shakeup to one of gaming's biggest brands, a question remains. Where does Xbox go from here? Hello, everybody. It's your boy Jmulls, and we have a lot to talk about.
Why do you always jump?
I don't see this changing much for Xbox. I personally have not attributed the fault for Xbox to Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond. I have normally placed the blame higher up on the totem pole with top leadership at Microsoft because they are ultimately the ones in control. I'm not saying that Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond had no influence or culpability for what has happened to Xbox over the last while, but I put larger blame on those higher up than them because those two ultimately answer to somebody. And going off of that, I view the promotion of someone like Asher Sharma to be an extension of what Microsoft truly wants and is aiming for: further integration of business operations and output with AI. If that is the ultimate goal, it makes sense to elevate someone into the position formerly held by Phil Spencer, with someone whose background is AI. Now, AI has an absolutely abhorrent reputation right now. Endless waves of utter slop being shoved into our eyeballs constantly on top of AI integration that is often inaccurate, annoying, or just unwanted has not helped matters. I don't really view this as anything but the furtherance of the current trajectory of Microsoft as a company, embracing AI in hopes of future developments that will theoretically rake in cash by the data center. Same thing with Xbox's embrace of things like cloud gaming and Xbox Play Anywhere and streaming. Have the infrastructure in place, have the apps and nomenclature established and known, so when technology crosses a certain threshold, they are already in the door, open and ready for business, beating hordes of newcomers wanting to establish themselves. To quote Talladega Nights, "If you aren't first, you will last," or something like that. This strategy has been Xbox's bread and butter for a long while, hoping to be the first in the door to some next big great thing and work towards whatever that is going to be, and be willing to forego the immediate future for that overall goal. Whether that be their embrace of Game Pass or multi-platform ports of established IPs and former exclusives, Microsoft is a very, very large company. They operate in a way of what's good for business. Not optics, not precedent, not tradition. They want money, they want more money, and what they view will get them the most money seemingly is selling their games to as many people as possible, even if it compromises the console brand, while pouring resources into things like Game Pass, streaming, and AI. I have routinely gone on throughout the course of this channel how I personally do not like the idea of exclusivity, but I can operate with nuance. I may not like exclusivity, but I see their value in the market, and people will be driven to a certain platform if that platform has the games they want to play. Now, reading up on this even more, a lot of what they're saying sounds pretty decent. I think the biggest question is, do you actually believe them when they talk these words? What do I mean by this? Enter the official Microsoft blog, where they have a few different messages from key people like Satya Nadella, chairman and CEO, Phil Spencer himself, and also Asher Sharma, and others. A lot of this is corporate PR speak, so we don't need to dwell too much on it, but I want to focus on Asher Sharma's message itself. And I want to begin with the end, actually, or at least near the end. As monetization and AI evolve and influence this future, we will not chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Interesting that she just calls it that. Games are and always will be art, crafted by humans and created with the most innovative technology provided by us. This sounds pretty good, and I do think now more than ever, Xbox needs a shakeup. It's been basically nothing but bad PR from them for a long while at this point. Like, I grew up with Xbox. I grew up with the Xbox 360. I have a lot of fond memories with that platform. Watching them just kind of whimper and simmer over the last while has been pretty depressing. But I do want to break down one rather have a large section of Asher Sharma's post here. My first job is simple. Understand what makes this work and protect it. That starts with 3 commitments. Let's go over those commitments right now. First, great games. Okay? It's good that they put this first, yeah? Everything begins here. We must have great games beloved by players before we do anything. I agree. Unforgettable characters, good. Stories that make us feel, sure. Innovative gameplay, okay. And creative excellence. PR speak, yes, but these are all important elements. If we wanted to get really technical and nitpicky, I'd argue you should post like fun gameplay as well, not just innovative gameplay, but I digress. We will empower our studios, invest in iconic franchises. This is a big one. Microsoft and Xbox at this point have so many IP that they've just been kind of sitting on, and back bold new ideas. We will take risks. Okay, I'm fine with that. We will enter new categories and markets where we can add real value, grounded in what players care about most. She is saying a lot of the right stuff. Second, the return of Xbox. This should be good. We will recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, those who have invested with us for the past 25 years, and to the developers who build the expansive universes and experiences that are embraced by players across the world. We will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with console, which has shaped who we are. It connects us to the players and fans who invest in Xbox, and to the developers who build ambitious experiences for it. It really does feel, to me at least, that a lot of what Asher Sharma is saying now almost acts to go against a lot of the notions people would like have a knee-jerk reaction to when it comes to elevating someone with an AI background to this position as Microsoft Gaming CEO. And now we kind of circle back to something I talked about earlier in this video. They just want people to play their games. Gaming now lives across devices, not within the limits of any single piece of hardware. As we expand across PC, mobile, and cloud, Xbox should feel seamless, instant, and worthy of the communities we serve. We will break down barriers so developers can build once and reach players everywhere without compromise. This really goes back to what I was talking about with cloud gaming. I do think this is one of the big things Xbox wants to be ahead of the crowd in, because when that technology threshold is crossed and it becomes good enough for the casual average player, Xbox wants to be able to leap to the front of the line. This feels like reaffirming that commitment. Third, future of play. We are witnessing the reinvention of play, kind of what I was just talking about. To meet the moment, we will invent new business models and new ways to play by leaning into what we already have. Iconic teams, characters, and worlds that people love, but we will not treat those worlds as static IP to milk and monetize. We will build a shared platform and tools that empower developers and players to create and share their own stories. Notice the nomenclature that is used, very reminiscent to like a lot of feedback that is levied at Microsoft, or just modern gaming on the whole. As monetization and AI evolve and influence this future, we will not chase short-term efficiency or flatter ecosystems with soulless AI slop. We covered this one before. And again, what I talked about before with Xbox being a company very much focused on long-term profitability. The next 25 years belong to the teams who dare to build something surprising, something no one else is willing to try, and have the patience to see it through. We have done this before, and I am here to help us do it again. I want to return to the renegade spirit that built Xbox in the first place. It will require us to relentlessly question everything, revisit processes, protect what works, and be brave enough to change what does not. Again, this sounds promising, but a lot of this does kind of feel like what has become the norm for Microsoft, where their primary focus is focusing on what might be a big thing in the near or distant future and really focusing in on that. Whether or not that's going to pay off for them will remain to be seen. However, some of what was said here does sound kind of good. It's just a matter of, do you trust it or not? And you know what? I think it's safe to say that Microsoft has built up a fair share of pessimism. I don't think it's misplaced. I think it's just healthy based on what they have done. When you have high-profile personnel changes like what is happening right now at Xbox and Microsoft, that is going to spark a lot of conversation. And I've seen a lot of like discussion about whether or not she's actually a gamer and like investigating her Xbox account and all that. Personally speaking, what matters to me is results. Are the games and policies that Xbox puts out there from here on out better than what came before, or is it mostly the same? Or does it somehow get worse? That's what I care about more than anything else. One of the biggest things I've talked about on this channel for a while at this point is that one of the biggest issues with a lot of Western gaming over the last 10, 15 years or so is that the industry made a lot of money back in the 2000s and early 2010s. So a lot of money people came into gaming from outside gaming, wanting to get in on that action. They wanted a slice of the pie, but they didn't understand the medium. They didn't understand how game production worked, how it was developed, and they didn't understand the hearts and minds of the average gamer. And it's clear and obvious to see that for so many games and so many big studios out there, they enacted policy and went in directions that were just worse than what came before. Xbox, to me, is absolutely no exception. Their downfall began a while back, I would argue, with the marketing campaign that they did for the Xbox One. It was a travesty, and it was completely separate from anything actual Xbox gamers wanted. Xbox has never really recovered from that situation. But for me, again, the thing I really care about is results. You don't have to be a gamer. You don't have to be someone that grew up playing games, loving these franchises like Halo and Gears of War, etc., etc. You don't have to love any of that. You don't have to have that history. If you are able to get good results, if you're able to allocate resources effectively and enact policy company-wide that allows people that do care about these games to understand these games, gives them the time, the power, and the energy they need to produce these games. If that ends up being the case, power to you. But I think it's fair to say, after everything that's happened with Xbox, everything that's happened with Microsoft, heck, Windows 11, need I go on, they've earned their fair share of pessimism. I've said that multiple times throughout this video because it bears repeating. They have earned it. Goodwill is hard to come by, but it is easily lost. Xbox has quite a few favorite franchises of mine. I love Halo, or at least I did, and I want to see Halo done well. I'm not overly enthused by what I've seen recently. Do I think it's possible that Microsoft and Xbox are planning some changes to the overall business strategy of Xbox? And could these personnel changes be kind of indicative of that? That is entirely possible. Do I think what we're going to get is probably going to be mostly the same? Yeah. I think it'll be mostly the same with some maybe changes here and there. As is the case with a lot of tech right now, Microsoft feels like they want to be an AI company. And like, worst case scenario, we start getting like AI generated games and they play like trash, they tell terrible stories that no one cares about, and like really worst case scenario, guys, we're making a Halo animated show. It's entirely AI generated. Ugh.
Say what?
Here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on what's going on with Xbox and Microsoft right now. What do you think Microsoft needs to do to get Xbox back on track? And where do you want to see them go from here? I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And speaking of gaming news, Nier Automata is to be continued. Those aren't my words. At the 9th anniversary live stream, that was the announcement. Nier Automata being my favorite game of all time, we have a lot to talk about, people. Want to find out more? Check out this video right here. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.